So congratulations, Pedro, Brittany, and EJ, on In Our Blood. I just got to watch it. It's really a great film.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you, dude. I'm glad you like it.
Welcome.
Pedro, let's start with you. You're the director. It's also your first time working in narrative film. Talk
Mhm.
about you had previously worked in documentary and were highly awarded for that. Talk a little bit about the transition and what you were trying to achieve with the film.
Um, well, thank you. First of all, thank you, Eric. Really appreciate your kind words. And one of the things that for me, in a way, is almost like a continuation of my documentary work, In Our Blood. Um, one of the things that inspired me so much about Mallory's work and what I read and what Stephen Klein and Aaron Cogan, our producers, developed was the um, a world that was not was that I saw our world and our challenges, and one of the things that I wanted to is continue the exploring the things that I do, the themes that I do in my documentary work, sh shedding a light on sort of the more ignored and unseen parts of life and society, and it's kind of taking a look at the world from the other side of the line and from an outsider's perspective, and I think that really inspired me, and then I think it inspired the whole team to bring that sort of that look and as Danny finds beauty in every in the most unexpected parts, I think that was really important as we're going into this downward spiral, and we don't know where things are going to go. I think I was always wanted to be grounded by the humanity of the characters, and seeing through the eyes of Danny and kind of following Emily's desperate search and a very difficult search for her, and facing to some very difficult truths about her, herself as well. Also, collaborating with Britt and EJ and Krisha and Alana and the whole team was just. I mean, I keep pinching myself still. So.
Brittany and EJ, let's talk about your characters. For each of you, discuss a little bit about who they are and what drew you to them. They're both kind of struggling with demons in the movie and working it out a little bit through what's going on in the plot. Brittany, talk first about your character, who's, you're making a documentary about your mother. What drew you to this character, and tell us a little bit about her.
Well, I got the script in my email back in 2021, and I read the script and got to the ending and had to call my team and ask, is this real? And I went back and reread it and had my meeting with Pedro, and we just I just admired him so much and watched his documentaries and made other people watch his documentaries. And 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 we created this character together, and what was written on the page, and we went into detail about the lore and her past, and um and this complicated relationship with her mom who's struggling with addiction, and how that all unfolds. So I just I signed on, and it was like a seed was planted and the tree just grew to
Mm.
this beautiful. Yeah, I loved Emily even more than I ever thought I could when I signed on to the project. But it was really Pedro who really made me I wanted to be in his corner because he said he sees the unseen, and that's just a
Hmm.
theme throughout all of his work and throughout this film.
EJ, talk a little bit about your character. Also has some backstory here, and you're cameraman on the documentary, but there's a lot more happening. Talk about what you drew you to this character and what you see in him.
Well, I mean, I love the opportunity to give voice to those that often are voiceless, right? And as an actor, I take that very, very seriously. I think that human beings feel that they're defined by what they've lived through and their traumas and their past, or their demons often take command. I think it's one of the reasons why Danny and Emily bond, whether it was an intentional bond or not. I think that they see each other before they even get to know each other. They get each other in a really deep, intrinsic way. Uh, I would never personally want to feel like what I've lived through becomes the furthest I can go or experience in my life. I love that Danny has been through really dark times and then allows that to color the way he chooses to view the world, right? Someone who understands darkness in some ways understands light better than most. I think that it makes our stories even more interesting. It makes us even more empathetic. It makes us capable of empathy because we've lived through things. And I love that when he does describe some of his past, I love that he doesn't make it this big mountain. He talks about it simply because it's just the truth. I remember when I met Pedro, we almost talked the entire time about lighting and color in film and why that excites us and how that tells a story. And so, I mean, you start geeking out with a director in a meeting like that, and you really hope they hire you. You know, thank you, by the way. I'm really grateful that you picked me for this part because, I mean, it was just a magical experience, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Well, you gave us no choice. You were just you know, you're so freaking amazing and blew us away, and so I can speak. I think I can speak for Brittany and I, and yeah, you just gave us no choice. I'm sorry.
Guys.
Aw, tell that to every other producer.
So for each of you, tell me a little bit about a particular scene that was maybe the hardest for you to film. It seems like there probably were a lot of, challenging scenes to work on because of the topic matter. Pedro, let's start with you.
Oh, well, I take your pick, but I'll highlight I'll highlight the scene at the end, the kind of
Hmm.
the the climax scene of the film. And for me, it was important to keep, despite how crazy the story gets and the places that it goes, it was important to be grounded in humanity and in reality, and not to lose sight of that. And there was a lot of choreography. There was, I think, for me, it was easy to fall into the traps of being lost in the details of the choreography and how things were going. And I was pushing myself um, to not fall into that trap and maintain the humanity. And actually, really, for me, was really grounding it with the cast and Camo, the cinematographer. Was always kind of checking in on how is that feeling, and with Britt, with EJ, with Alana, with Krisha. So that, for me, I think that was the main thing, is just to maintain it grounded while, despite everything, the crazy stuff that's happening.
Brittany?
I think the most challenging scenes I said earlier in a interview were the scenes where Emily had to convince Danny to do things that he shouldn't have done. I think
Hmm.
that was the hardest for me to justify as an actor. I'm working on not judging my characters, but I'm a little judgmental of my characters at times and judgmental of myself. But yeah, those were the hardest ones. And then some of the scenes with Red, we would have to cross streets that were active streets, and um, just like collaborating with the camera. I mean, the fact that EJ did that the whole film is extremely impressive. So those are, I think, those scenes where there's like the rhythm and the movement of the camera, where you're kind of like chasing after Red, trying to get more answers. And then physically, I think that was like logistic wise, that was the hardest. And then emotionally, the hardest was, yeah, making Danny do things he didn't want to do. I didn't really align with it, but I had to find the justification in the character, and that was the most challenging, I would say.
Yeah, EJ?
I love you. I love that Brittany's just so empathetic that it really does consume her. That she's like, but no.
I'm just like, stop. Like, girl, stop. Like, what are you doing? I have that with a couple of other characters I've played, where I'm like, yeah. So I have it often where I'm like, I don't align with this, but I'm gonna try to put it in my bones and intention as much as I can.
For me, on a technical level, yes, and like with the entire film is me dancing with Camilo, our cinematographer. Danny isn't just EJ; it's EJ and Gamo as a unit. And there are often times where like I'm hugged up against him, intentionally connecting with my teammate here, but we often couldn't see each other. And yet we're capable of finding that connection, which I think is very special and a testament to, I think, what we found in each other. On an emotional level, there's a scene where Danny is just guilty because of the way he looks, and there's cops at the motel. And I remember being on set that day, and I remember I think Alana was visiting for the first time, and like immediately did not come up to me because oh no, it wasn't Alana,
Was it Bianca or
it was
Krisha?
Bianca.
Bianca,
It was
yes.
Bianca who is an incredible actress and very, very lovely. But I was in a very real triggered place. Uh, I just hate the idea of people being judged by culture, right? And it's happened to me in my personal life many times, and I'm a fucking sweetheart, like
Golden
uh,
retriever.
Exactly.
like there are times like something happened recently in my life where I was being threatened by someone in my gym. I'll tell you guys this more detailed personally later, but I was being threatened by this guy in my gym, and the people who owned and were working for the gym immediately thought it was me because my reaction is something that isn't uh it's a little hood. My reaction is a little of a different culture, of a different class system, but because of that the assumption was I was guilty,
Mm.
and it made me livid. So being on set that day, I just remember shaking in between those scenes, going, "If you tell me we got it," because I'm just there,
Mm.
And that emotionally was a very difficult scene for me.
I'd like to just hear a little bit about this tension in the film where, you're shooting a documentary and there's this tension about what should be on camera and what shouldn't be on camera and what's private and what's public. And of course, it's kind of a metaphor for the film too, because there's this tension of what we show and what we don't show. Pedro, talk about that and what you were trying to say about it.
A lot of it is what's in frame, what's not in frame, right? Um, and what's kind of behind uh, the what are we not seeing? And I think there's so much that we hide intentionally. And I think it for me, it's really in a way how we're seeing the world as Danny's eyes, but who is putting this together in a way is Emily. And I think for for us, that process was really kind of inhabiting Emily, and what she is hiding and the trauma that she has and all the layers that Brittany was just I'm in awe. I'm still in awe of what Brittany has created and the all the layers. And we talked about Emily a lot, Brittany and I, and really kind of understanding why she acts the way she does and that arc. And so, like going back to your question, what we don't show or where we're cutting, what's in the cutting room floor is actually uh, an Emily. This I had to, we all had to inhabit Emily Wyland in order to make those decisions because that is who is making the decisions. Danny is the camera movement.
Mm.
He that embodiment of Danny and the decisions of like what is Emily not showing? She's, as we see in the film, that there's that scene in the motel room. She's looking at footage, there's that we already saw in the film, but that's a little clue that like Emily is piecing this together. To understand the what to show, I had to kind of be one with Emily Wyland and really kind of understanding that journey of that eventually understands sort of complicity and there's the trauma and the hurt that she, and the layers of dealing with the addiction that that her mother and her have struggled with for so long. For that, I kind of brought my little bit of my head of as a documentary editor in the past of like knowing what clues to leave there for if you watch it a second time, and hopefully people will want to watch the film for a second time, because there's a lot of Easter eggs there that make you look at the film and the story differently.
Brittany and EJ, finally, just what do you hope that the audience takes away from the film?
I personally, I hope that people are willing to look in places that they've sort of put in their periphery. I hope that they find a way to intentionally recognize that sometimes we want to be blind to certain things because it makes our lives easier, but the result of that is that people are left in the dark and feeling unseen when they deserve to be seen because we're human beings, right? Pedro says it often, but this is not a film that's built in a fantastical world. It's the real world, and it is our world. And I hope people take another look at themselves. I hope it holds a mirror up to each of the audience members.
I completely agree. And I hope when they're watching the film, they experience a sense of depth because I think a lot of times, um, people are looking to have some sort of fear or sensation. And I hope that they actually have like a deep emotional reaction as well and a reflective one when they leave the theater.
On that note, Pedro, Brittany, and EJ, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed talking about the film and hope everyone gets a chance to see it when it's in theaters on October 24th. Thanks for watching the You Interview channel. With over 3,000 original celebrity videos, we have one of the largest collections of celebrity interviews anywhere. So remember to like and comment on our videos and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get more involved, you can become a member of the channel. Membership has its perks. You can see exclusive celebrity videos and get the opportunity to ask our celebrity guests questions. We can't wait to hear from you.